Oh, great.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tea for Tea. Today's episode will be about trans healthcare, transitioning, socially and medically, and all things related to that. Today we are here. I am Frankie. My pronouns are they, them.
I'm Sipta. My pronouns are he, him.
And I'm Jane, and my pronouns are she, her.
Awesome. So today we're going to start off with some questions about the topic and have a discussion about that. And then we're going to take a break for a new segment that we're going to be introducing to you. We want to give some content warnings and some trigger warnings for this episode because we will be talking about some things that are a little heavy. Transitioning can bring up a lot of intense feelings for a lot of people, so there may be mentions of things like self-harm, suicidal ideation. What else do you think might come up?
Like maybe a little bit of body-related terminology and discussion of the medical industry in general and dysphoria.
Yeah, definitely talking about a lot about dysphoria. So
a lot of frustrating things.
Mm-hmm.
So advise, how you watch how you feel. However, if you're comfortable seeing that. I think we're going to start.
Yeah. So our first question that we're going to open up with is, what are some ways that people could medically transition? So who wants to start?
Well, I guess I'll start. People can I feel like when it comes to medically transitioning, it's good to go to a clinic. Like, that's, like, the safest way to, like, medically transition is, like, go through your doctor, psychiatrist, and stuff like that. And, it's just so it's suitable for you. Because certain people, it's not suitable for. Even though it may be in their heart and stuff like that, some people aren't ready for what the reality of transitioning actually is. Mm-hmm. So it's good to go through a medical diagnosis and, like, a psych diagnosis before you say, hey, I'm just going to take some pills and dress up as a woman. It takes a little bit more than that. And a lot of, building yourself and knowing yourself to be okay with how the world is going to treat you in some sense. And then you could do black marketing.
Yeah, there definitely are different ways to go about it. I do agree with Jane that going through a clinic is the safest way to do it, I would say. Maybe not the best for everybody, but definitely the safest. You know what you're getting. You know that the people that are treating you know what they're doing.
You know your dosage.
You know the dosage. They monitor you for your levels. And,
They teach you how to inject yourself.
Yeah, they teach you how to safely inject. There are you can buy hormones on like the black market, online or whatever. You can do that and self-medicate if you want. But the big issue with that really is
you don't know what you're getting.
Well, you don't know what you're getting, and on top of that is that you need to have your hormone levels checked when you're on hormone replacement therapy, so that you don't go above a certain level and have negative effects on your endocrine system and your body. And if you're doing it at home, there's really no way to check that. So it is safest to go through a clinic. There are also other ways of medically transitioning that are not like hormone replacement therapy. I know before I started hormones, I used a supplement called DHT that increases natural testosterone in the body and has a lot of similar effects to testosterone, but on a much, much smaller scale. And I also used minoxidil, which is like a
hair growth formula, basically.
Yeah.
But it also takes a toll on your liver if you try to naturally transition or take pills to try to induce the effects of HRT, because it's going through your body and your liver can't really handle that.
Yeah, there are safe ways to do it, and there are amounts that you can take.
Yeah.
Minoxidil is something that many cis men take for, or use for their hair.
Oh, yeah, that's different, too.
It is different, but it's also not so different.
No, I mean different as in the fact that it's not something going through your mouth through your liver.
No, it's not. It's used, but it does have negative effects if you misuse it. If you use too much, it can have
blood pressure.
Yeah, it can have bad issues with your blood pressure if you use too much of it.
Blood clots.
Yeah. So you have to be careful. but going to a clinic is not always super accessible to everybody, unfortunately.
Yeah, and also I want to mention, like, not everyone transitions the same way medically, because there's different ways you could take HRT, dispense HRT into your body. There's also, not everyone wants to get the surgery or wants to get all the surgeries, like top and bottom surgery. And some people, there's also different types of surgeries, so some people may choose to get one over another. Like, for bottom surgery for trans men, there's metoidioplasty and there's phalloplasty. There's different ways of top surgery, like keyhole, double incision. Any others?
There are a few others. There's like peri, and now they have the button. What do they call it? The button something. I don't know. They have this new one. But there's always new procedures coming out, and it's really just about finding out what works for you and what you want, and not feeling pressured to have certain surgeries because that's what I feel like you should do, and as part of the transition process,
Which is foolish.
Which is foolish, exactly. It is foolish.
And like everyone's dysphoria and everyone's body and what they could tolerate and what they want is different. So everyone medically transitions differently, and that's okay.
Yeah, and some people don't want any surgeries but want to go on hormones. Some people want not to go on hormones and want some surgeries. And everything, whatever you want to do for your body, do it. That's what you got to do. I don't care what it is.
Just make sure you're safe and do your research. Make sure, just don't push yourself.
Yep. Yeah. Don't over medicate.
Yeah. The next topic that we're going to be discussing is, what does medical gatekeeping look like in the trans community?
Can you explain that?
So some people believe that you need to be trans enough, quote unquote, to start medically transitioning, and this could be enforced by other members of the trans community, sometimes your doctors.
Well, first, let's just define what gatekeeping in general means to begin with. Right?
I think gatekeeping is when people think they have some sort of authority over another person of what their identity is.
Yeah. Okay.
And that can affect what they have access to and, what they can...
But do you guys not think that some people are just not ready for transitioning?
I do think that there are people who maybe it's not their time because they're not, they might want to be transitioning for the wrong reasons or something like that. But
and how else are you going to find out that you're transitioning for the wrong reasons if you're not getting analyzed by somebody professional?
I mean, there's...
Well, I think that there's an aspect to that, but that, that's more on the psychiatrist or psychologist side of it, whereas there are many doctors who literally will just, not treat patients of certain identities or because they say certain things.
Is that gatekeeping, though, because they're not a part of the community?
No, people who are part of the community, people like non-binary trans people, or people, or people who are younger, who are 18, who doctors say, well, they don't know what they need because they're young. They don't know.
Well, 18 is a little old.
Or they say that, for non-binary trans people, there's so many doctors who will deny non-binary trans people access to hormones, access to surgery because they're like, well, you're non-binary. Why do you need to transition?
Or also,
but that's not how it works. Obviously,
This has been more of a thing of the past, but part of the very old criteria for gender identity disorder was that you had to be attracted to, say you were a trans man, you would have to be a straight trans man in order to transition. Otherwise they would not let you. And there was a trans activist, his name was Lou Sullivan, and he advocated for gay trans men who were attracted to men to transition. And that is obviously not a huge thing in the medical community now, but it's still a microaggression in the doctor's mind that can impact people.
I guess.
For sure.
I think I'm on the fence with that, though. I am on the fence with that because then you have people that detransition later in life, and then it gives off a name and a certain, it just makes it like a.
Do you think there's anything wrong with someone detransitioning later in life if they tried it and realized it wasn't what they needed at the time?
I mean, everybody goes through their own personal thing and their own figuring out themselves, so I cannot say that it's good or bad, but I can say that maybe if they were educated a bit more and understood the process more, they'd understand that maybe it's not the right choice to do because it does chemically change your body. And also
the thing is there are zero doctors, who will give someone hormones without fully educating them about the effects of it.
Even
body.
when you start informed consent.
Even informed consent processes, you have to read off and sign a form that you are like fully educated on how it will affect your body.
But how many?
They don't tell you every last thing.
That's what I was about to say.
They definitely
don't
don't tell you
always tell
every
you
last thing, but
everything.
they do outline the majority of the effects that it will have on you. And that's just part of the process. And if your doctor doesn't do that, they're literally breaking the law.
And then, not only
Like-
that,
But they
but we
would.
live in a world where most of society, if not all of society, is actively against trans people, and trans people have a really high suicidal rate. And more often than not, like if someone has the guts to come out there and say that they want to transition, like they're being really genuine about it. And most of the time, people who do medically detransition, they do it because of like the violence and transphobia that they experienced.
Either that, or I think some people literally might just think at one point in their life that that's what they need, and then learn
Yeah.
later on that it's not, or
Yeah,
it
and
wasn't.
you wind up
And
with-
that's okay. I don't think there's anything wrong with
Yeah.
detransitioning. You know, I think that if
I
you
just think the issue with it is just that people make it seem like it's a choice and that aspect. Like it's like, oh, I'm gonna be a man one day and then be a woman
But
the
that's
next
cis
day.
people's
Yeah.
I
transphobia.
understand that. I understand
Yeah.
that. But what I'm trying to say is you can't deny the fact that sometimes you're fucked up. There's
course.
people that get their bottom surgery done, and then they got the nerve to be on cameras talking about the trans lifestyle is an abomination and to be damned. And you can't just say all that shit, and you was just in the hospital getting pills from your doctor, so progressive about it. That's what I'm saying. And I say that for the reason in being is that if you're not properly educated on what you're doing, you're gonna wind up like that. And that's what I'm saying is that there is certain like restrictions when it comes to gatekeeping, because I do feel like certain people should not be transitioning if they don't understand it fully. You know, it's just my opinion.
I get you. No, I get
I
you.
do hear that there does need to be education and information, but I also
I feel
I strongly believe that there is nothing wrong with someone later in life deciding that they were going on hormones for a few years and it just wasn't for them. I don't think that hurts anybody. I think cis people definitely do use that to weaponize against us, and cis people will use those people who do transition as oh, look, you can choose. But like, are we going to live our life by what cis people think, or like, should we care what they think
And I
about
think
us?
that
Like,
No.
if we
fuck
do
them,
too
like-
much, we can't do too much
True.
gatekeeping, because like then that leads to trans people not getting hormones at all.
yeah,
Or-
and people like me who like I very much have like deep dysphoria. You know, I have a lot of body dysphoria, and I was denied hormones the first time I asked for it because they asked me why I needed testosterone if I was non-binary.
But did you express it like, oh, I'm a non-binary person, or were you like, I'm a trans person that is non-binary?
Well, I think that can often go together, you know. For me,
I
I am
agree,
trans
but
and
I mean-
non-binary, and I definitely did. I made it very clear that I have dysphoria about this part of my body and this part of my body, and literally was like this, and they were like, well, I don't get it if you're non-binary, you know.
we
They're
should
assholes.
wrap it up because we're coming to
We're gonna stop for a very interesting and exciting new segment. Yeah.
yeah.
So
Oh, we're on to the next segment?
yes, we are.
So guys, what are you angry about today?
Uh-oh.
How do we know it? We're just waiting. We're gonna start a segment. Okay, cool. Do you wanna introduce the new segment?
All right. So not only do we have a new broadcaster, but we have a new segment. And so, guys, what are you angry about today? Because now we're going on to.
Bitching out.
Wait. Yes, we're gonna have a
Oh.
segment in our show where we just complain because we love to complain so much.
Oh,
We're
love.
angry, evil
We
trans
just get
people.
angry.
Angry. All right.
What are y'all pissed about today? Oop.
How there's so little trans representation, and how we have to be like, how we're just so vulnerable trying to be that representation.
I agree. I think that in certain situations, when there's not enough representation, a lot can weigh on and fall on certain specific people
Yeah.
just because I guess they're
There's
there.
no other option.
But then it comes off in the sense like, you know, when like you see white, like what are they, like white, left, right people? Are they like the right, Republican? Like, I'm just trying to say the, like, those type of people.
Far right.
Yeah.
Alt-right.
And they would have like some black person in the corner to be like, oh well, we support.
It
support.
makes you feel tokenized.
It feels tokenized, and it makes you feel like your only purpose is just to make it.
To get
Yeah.
social points, like social justice points, like oh look what we have, this trans person on our team,
Right? Like, here you go. She got some titties and a dick.
Yeah, that literally is how it feels. Very often, it's really, really a lot to feel like you have to be a voice for your community,
Yeah.
and like you have to, you have to be a model person and be exactly what everybody wants you to be, so that cis people are pleased with trans
Ooh.
people.
And your
Yes.
identity becomes like so politicized, and you have to like please everyone because you have to be not outspoken enough for cis people to accept you, but then you also need to be like very like.
You gotta minimize
Yeah,
yourself,
yeah.
become lesser, just so that you could just.
But then
exist
also
freely.
you have to like be outspoken enough that you feel like you're representing your community and getting your message out there. So it's
That's a hypocrisy.
Yeah.
Hypocrisy.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
You know what else I'm mad about? I dropped my $11 pressed powder on the floor this morning and it shattered all over the ground.
Ooh.
All over it. I had to sweep it up crying.
I don't have any fruit leather.
I was quite upset. It was a NYX powder.
Oh, well, that's
She'll be missed. R.I.P. We're gonna bury her
I don't
tonight.
even know what that is. So
it's a makeup brand.
It's a makeup
Oh.
brand. I was quite sad. It was really upsetting. Why are powders so delicate? Why?
That's transphobia.
I hate when that happens.
Transphobic. Yeah. What else are we angry about?
Oh, well, it's time to wrap it up.
I'm angry that the segment is ending so early
Thanks.
because I have too much anger.
I am angry that I only have 3 minutes to express my anger on this show.
Yes.
But it's
we
okay
should-
because we can continue being angry in the rest of the show. That's fine. This is just a specific
It's
segment
just like
for unrelated anger.
it's like
Unrelated
bitching it
anger.
out, light, like diet
Yeah.
bitching it out. So
Diet bitching it out.
Diet.
yeah.
I just caught that. That was cute. Like diet soda. Yeah,
So now we're back to the show,
Yes.
and
We're gonna continue with our question.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about what difficulties trans people could face during the medical transition process. Like, this ranges from anything from like social, in the system, like with their actual bodies and like the dosage and any unexpected changes, etc., etc. So.
Mhm.
I can start on this. Yeah, so I feel like doctors do a really good job of explaining to you the physical aspects
Yeah.
of transitioning, but they don't talk to you about the mental aspects at all. Like, at all. I mean, okay, my doctor mentioned that I might have some small mood changes, but nothing to the extent of what actually happened when I went on hormones.
Uh-huh.
I was so angry, so hungry, irritable. I couldn't cry. I felt like, and especially as a person who's dealt with mental illness for the majority of my life, who's felt sadness on such a deep level,
Yeah.
to suddenly have that like taken away from me was like very weird.
Oof.
And to not be able to cry when I felt sadness was very.
Tell me about it.
Just pour water
Tell
down
me
your cheeks
about
and.
it.
It's not the same.
It's
It's not
not-
the release. You know?
I know, I get you.
But I think there's so many difficulties beyond that even. You know, you can have. It's very easy to be trans and let your family pretend it doesn't exist when you're
Mhm.
not transitioning, and to still have them in contact with you and like you enough to keep you around when you don't look trans to them, you know?
Mhm.
But once you start transitioning, you lose that ability. You know, if your family didn't like you because you were trans and they were ignoring it up to now, well,
Now they're really gonna ignore your
now-
black ass.
yeah, that like eliminates the possibility of that happening completely.
I think like in terms of medical transitioning, a difficulty that really bugs me is how long the process is to get the HRT letter and like go through that, especially because like, well, we're gonna talk about this more later on, but I'm under 18, I'm 17, and I've been trying to get HRT for years, and you need both parents to sign off on it. So then if one of your parents agrees or neither of your parents agrees, then you just don't get it. And
Really?
yeah.
And just for
yeah.
information purposes, though, that is specifically to people under 18.
Yeah.
If you are over 18 and live in the state of New York, you can go through what's called informed
Yeah, I was just
consent,
about to say.
which is a super quick and simple process of literally 2 appointments. The second appointment, you can have your prescription.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even if you don't start on informed consent, you still have to go through
When's
that
your
long-
birthday?
Oh, September 24th.
So
You're
you're
almost
turning
there.
Yeah.
It's right around the corner. Don't worry.
Yeah.
bitch.
Living on a prayer.
Yeah.
Yes.
but,
I believe that.
Yeah, adults who don't go on informed consent, they still have to go through that long process.
Yes.
And
Yeah, and that's something we
agreeable.
have in New York, but not all states
Yeah.
have that
Yeah.
you know, process.
And then not only that, but like once you start medically transitioning, you might need to get your gender marker and stuff changed, so like you're not at a risk of like violence or anything if people clock you, and it's
Yeah, it's
Ooh.
cocky as fuck when I give someone my ID and it's a picture that doesn't look like
Oh.
me and it says F and they're like,
What?
what?
the F stands for Frankie.
Oh my God.
I wonder if I can get close enough to the camera to show y'all my ID.
The F stands for Frankie.
That's my gender, Frankie. This is my most recent ID that I have to give people. I did focus. You can let me know. That I have to give people when I am meeting them. So
Facts.
they see this face, and then they see this picture, and they see a little F on my ID and everything.
The F stands for respects.
That's not. Oh. I wish it did.
That's cute.
But it's not expensive to change your stuff.
Yeah.
It's expensive as fuck.
And
And it's a
now-
long process. It takes time, and you have to change over all your cards and
And
all
you
your
have to prove
information.
that you're going through the transition
Yeah.
process.
You have to get you literally have to get letters from doctors proving that you are the gender that you're
Yeah,
saying
and,
you
like-
are, which is so ridiculous.
And like if you're like pre-HRT, it's not I mean you're still obviously at a risk of danger, but once you start HRT, you could become so much more visibly trans, and like
yeah,
if your ID does not match with that, that is
it's dangerous.
Yeah.
It literally
It
so my
is.
partner lives in a dorm building, so I have to give my ID every time I go in,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm at their place probably 5 times a week. And let me tell you how people treat me differently from the time they first meet me to after they see my
Yes.
ID.
Yes.
The language shift, the attitude shift after they see
Everything
my ID.
changed, and it's like you're a different fucking person.
so we're gonna like how does that impact a trans person's well-being? All these
It makes
barriers
you
in medical
psychosis.
transition.
It gives you psychosis. It makes you feel crazy. It makes you feel like, damn, like I'm not good nowhere.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it really just
Period.
leaves
You
It's
know,
scary
especially when you're
also.
going through this whole process to just fit and align everything
Yeah.
properly, and then you got to give your ID to somebody, and it's like, is this a fake?
and like you
Like,
just feel
is this
so
a-
Literally, people have asked me if it was my sister's ID before.
Yeah,
Like, not jokingly, people have asked me if that was my sister's ID. Not the one I just showed you, but my official ID that has the picture that's a little bit older.
and like it just creates this feeling of hopelessness, like am I getting anywhere with all these barriers, like what's the point? And it just all of that dysphoria just adds up, and that's why like a lot of trans people deal with depression, mental illness.
And let me tell you, I want to share a short little story. I went for a
Story
top
time with
surgery. I went for a top surgery consult in January with a doctor. I'm not going to name him because I'm not trying to get sued today.
you should.
I should name him, but I'm not going to. But if you want to know, you know.
Send him a DM and it's
so
sweaty.
I go to this surgeon in New York City for a consult, and I tell him I'm non-binary, and he asked me, literally, this is someone who all he does all day is
deal with
perform
trans people.
surgeries for trans people. And he asked me why I would want top surgery if I was non-binary, and then asked me if I wanted feminine-shaped, smaller breasts as a reduction, a feminine reduction instead of full top surgery because I am non-binary.
I know it's like when you go to a haircut place and you ask them, I want my hair short, and they're like, oh, do you want a feminine haircut?
It's like, give me what the
Yeah.
fuck I asked for.
Yeah, exactly.
My insurance is
I
paying
know what I
you.
want. I'm paying you.
DKNY.
So yeah, and that day after I left there, literally I cried and I cried. I went home and I literally was like, I will never get what I want and what I need because nobody will ever see me for who I am, and I will have to either pretend to be a binary trans man or just give up to get what I need. And I literally went, and I was so upset, and my dysphoria was literally the worst it's been in so long because people in the medical system don't know how to listen to the patients that they're treating.
I'm sorry for that.
It was awful. It was
I
so
believe
bad.
it.
So
I
if you
believe
want to know
it.
who to avoid, top surgeons in New York, you know.
and you just hear a loud sensor.
Yeah, I think we're going to take a break now for music, and we'll be back and have one more question. All right. Thank you all so much. Tell someone I'm not live so I can talk.
Scoot, scoot.
So we have one more question, right?
Yeah. We already discussed like the difficulty of trans people under 18. So, what are some reliable trans resources, and what makes them reliable? So, just keep in mind that we are New York based. So, if this is a little, New York centric,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but we'll try to keep it, as general, because like there's Planned Parenthoods and
Yeah.
Yeah, Planned Parenthood is a great resource no matter where you live, because it's all throughout the country.
They
So
they do trans research.
They do.
Yeah,
Not only do
yeah.
they do hormone
It's
replacement therapy, but they also
insurance
do. They do informed consent. So you can get
Yeah,
that shit
yeah.
real quick as long as you're in an informed consent state.
Oh.
Where do you go for your health care?
Callan Lord.
Talk about Callan Lord. That's a great resource.
Callan Lord. They're where they're on West 19th,
Brooklyn?
Something like
18th.
that. No. They're in Manhattan and Lower Manhattan.
Yeah, West 18th, and they're just, I guess, this a normal health clinic that gives prescriptions and stuff, but they also have like a section for trans identified people, the HOT program, where you can meet with a case worker and get the hormones quite simply. You know,
I
they
think
even
the
have
whole-
vouchers for free. You don't even need your insurance. So
I think the whole building is LGBTQ, but they just
Whole
have one
building.
section that's for trans people specifically.
Mhm. It's a great resource.
And they also have other stuff other than medical stuff, right? They have some groups for trans people there that like support groups and such, and they have psychiatry, right, and psychology, they have dental work. They have
dental work specifically for trans people.
well, and for people who are there,
okay,
LGBTQ
gotcha,
people, yeah. They have a lot of resources.
And it's nice to have a doctor who's LGBT sensitive because you
Yeah.
don't have to deal with them like giving you side eyes for your presentation or like gendering you wrong,
And I go to Apacha, which is also here in the city in Manhattan. It's a little more downtown near Canal Street. And it's another clinic. It's not LGBT specific, but they do have a trans clinic in it. And I go there, and I have a wonderful doctor who is trans themselves. And they treat me and do a wonderful job.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's really, really nice.
All right, so how can these systems be improved? Because I have some onions on that.
Well,
How can, we're going to have to do this real quick.
Okay, I think that it could be improved by, there's like so few of these clinics in general, so that could make someone like have to travel a really long distance to access them.
To fucking
The
Callan
waiting
Lord.
list, because they're just so small and there's so a lot of people have to go to them, and yeah, that's basically all I have. More accessible in general, basically.
Yeah, we're also very lucky to be here in New York.
Yeah.
There are probably 5 informed consent clinics in the city, which is a very large amount compared to other places.
What?
There are states where there's literally just nothing, where
Yeah.
you have to drive 4 hours to get to a single
Yeah.
place that will give you hormones.
Yeah.
One thing
mean-
I gotta say, Callan Lord needs to learn how to answer their phone calls. That's what they need to learn how to do.
Yeah,
They need to learn how to answer their
I
phone
literally
calls.
went to the hot van the other day, and they were like, yeah, if you have a question, just ask us right here, because, like, if you call, nobody will
Nobody's
pick up.
gonna pick up.
So
Nobody.
they know.
And they're
Because-
working.
It's because these clinics are all so overbooked and
Yeah.
so overfilled. They're so overcrowded. There's so many people who are trying to get healthcare in these centers. There just needs to be more of them. Like, even the 5
Hire
we
more
have
people.
is not enough.
Hire more people.
Get more
Hire more
funding.
people, get more
jobs.
funding. The
And there
state
needs to be
be
more
funneling more
laws.
money into
Yeah.
this also.
Yes, I know. Thank you, Jesus. They're opening one in Brooklyn, so I don't gotta be traveling
they're
on the
also
train.
opening a Callan Lord section in the Bronx real soon.
That's good.
I heard. Word is. Don't tell anyone I told her
They
that.
have one in the Bronx, but they're gonna have one in Brooklyn, Queens.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Hi,
yeah,
voice
they're
of
trying to
God behind the
expand.
camera.
They're trying to expand. Also, while we're at it, we shared 2 resources that we used, but we are going to link in the description of this video on all our platforms. We're going to try to, but especially on Instagram, we're going to be linking a list of resources for different places. Most of them will be New York based, but some of them will be international. So please access that if you can use it, and if you're looking for a place to access medical transition related resources. Yeah, obviously we have so much more we want to talk about on this topic. You
Yeah.
can hear we want to keep going, but our show is 30 minutes long. So yeah, we're gonna wrap up a little bit.
Yeah. I'm Sipta. My pronouns are he, him, and it's been great broadcasting with you today. And hi to all our Instagram viewers, since we just started setting that up.
Yeah, today is the first day we are broadcasting on Instagram too.
Wow,
so
we
thank
have like
you if you're
3 new
watching us.
things going on right now.
Yeah.
Boom. Well, my name is Jane.
Hi, Jade.
Hi, Jane.
I'm
Everyone say hi,
Frankie.
Jane.
Yeah, we'll be back next week. As always, Tuesdays at 6 p.m.
Trans
Please come
Tuesdays.
join us.
Mhm.
Trans Tuesdays, I like that.
Trans Taco Tuesdays.
We have that in my house, actually.
Yeah, I know. That's why I
too
mentioned it.
funny.
Oh
Ooh.
yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah. So please come back next Tuesday. We're gonna have another very interesting topic for you. Does anyone know the topic?
And we
yet?
will have the bitching segment
May not.
again.
The topic is not. We can't share it yet.
Bitching segment
It's
2,
secret.
Electric Boogaloo.
But yeah, thanks so much for joining us. If you want to continue this conversation, because we're not done with it, right? Leave some comments on this video.
Yeah.
Let's continue the
Please.
conversation. We'll answer you.
Talk
We
to
all of us,
us.
all of us moderate the Instagram accounts and the Twitter accounts and
Literally.
and the Twitch. So
And we love talking to other trans people.
yeah,
and
send us some
It's
messages. Leave us
cathartic.
some comments. Let us let us
Send
know how
us
you're
some fan
thinking.
mail. Give us your credit card information.
Yeah.
Maybe don't do that if you're smart. But yeah, if there's something we said that you're like, yo, that's whack. Tell us. If
Yeah.
if we said something and you were like, that was amazing, we love that.
Or
Tell
if
us.
you want to add more resources, you know.
If you want to share resources, leave them in the comments of our videos. Let everybody know.
If you want to bitch with us.
If you want to bitch with us, if you want to complain, if you have a topic that you're upset about, you want us to bitch about, we can bitch about it. Let us know.
It's
Thank
like
you
got
so-
an app for that, got a bitching segment for that.
We do got a bitching segment for that. So we're going to close up now. Thank you all so much for being here with us today. Goodbye. All right, cool.
Thank you.